don't know what we can talk about in this nation without talking about white superiority, honestly.
Who defines the meaning of God also defines the relationship between economy and God.
African Americans spent $1.3 trillion last year, making us the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. Why have we not turned those riches into wealth to develop our community?
Peace, family. It's so nice to be with you guys during the middle of the day. Look at that. I tell you, we like doing these daytime shows, but we are specifically doing a daytime show for Professor Robin Walker because he's across the pond, and we need to make it convenient because we can have our elders up at 12 and 2 o'clock in the morning talking to us. I just want to say peace to everyone that is in the chat. How you doing, Emmanuel? Thank you for getting here and checking us out. So just a couple of little, brief things before we bring on Professor Walker. We, if you don't know, we have a whole, if you don't know, we have a whole One Africa Power and Unity Conference that we did back in April. It was April 30th and May 1st. And we finally have the actual whole conference online. So you can go, you can actually rent it, or you can just, download it. It's 12 hours of the whole entire conference. We did not edit anyone's presentation. And we have the likes of Professor James Small, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Rosalind Jeffries, Asar Imhotep, Dr. Susan Tata. We had Riza Islam. Shout out to Michael. How you doing? We had Bayina Bello, Dr. Georgina Falou, Dr. Coach. I should really just have these listed, but it was such an engaging weekend. We also had Coach Alicia, Dr. Watkins. She was there. We had Kaba Hiawatha Kamamin there. He wasn't there, but he was on virtual with us, along with Sister Shahraza Ali. Infudishi Juhutimis opened up the event, and we also had Jabari Ozazi there. So we had all the heavy hitters, most of them in the house, delivering these powerful presentations. And so this is not something that you just watch. Oh, I'm just going to watch it 2 hours. This is like better than Netflix because it's 12 hours. So you can sit and you can watch a little bit. You can, watch it the next day. But the most important thing is you need to sit down and watch it with family. And this goes back to what it talks to what Professor Robin Walker is going to be talking about today, because this information, this is all of us. We're all one Black people, okay? And this power and unity is important, but we also have to know our history, right? So that we understand who we are, where we came from, we feel good, and then we can then start to work in community to start shifting, what's happening with Black people now. So it's very important. If you haven't seen it, go to hapifilm.com and you can pick up your copy. We also have our whole documentary that everyone keeps forgetting that HAPI Talks is a derivative of the HAPI movie. It's a documentary that is 2 hours and 12 minutes long, and it contains about 30 of our scholars and lecturers, and we're talking about the history of money. And we start at the Happy River and we take it all the way back to the United States. So it's really important, if you haven't seen that, to, check out so you understand who HAPI Talks is and our mission and, what we're doing here. So you can get everything there. I have a HAPI t-shirt on. I'll show it to you guys later, but you can go right there to hapifilm.com and pick up any type of all the merchandise that we have. And also is most important is to sign up for the newsletter. Okay. The newsletter is our direct means of communication with you guys. So when we have information, when our elders or scholars get at us and they want to do something specific for the HAPI audience, we can tap into that because you guys are signed up for the newsletter. So make sure that you just go to hapifilm, you hit the little button that says get connected, and you will get connected. We'll put you on the list. All right, shout out to Ron Spears in the house, and it's Michael Friend from Soul Emotion Players. It is, if you are on the East Coast, really, you got to check out his drumming. It's not even, it's like, to just say drumming group is not, that doesn't suffice. It's like a drumming empire. But yeah, shout out to Michael Friend. We see Maurice, MC. So, and Gift of God, Star North. All right. And Seeking Energy Within. Oh, you guys got some really nice little names today. All right. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Professor Robin Walker. How you doing?
I'm doing very, very well, ma'am. Thanks for inviting me onto the program.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're happy you said yes. This is your second time to HAPI, so it's really, really nice seeing you. So, listen, audience, you guys are in for a treat, okay? Because usually we have like a sit and talk type of conversation, but today Professor Walker, he just brought like a straight presentation for us. All right, so he's going to present for 3/4 of an hour. I love the way he said that. Yes, 3/4 of an hour. And then we will have an opportunity to ask questions. And so, try to save your questions for the end. Like, don't put them in the chat right now, because then I'll have to try to scroll back and try to find it. And I don't want to miss anyone's question. Y'all know I'm going to have some questions. But if you guys have questions, just try to save them. And then when he's done, put them in the chat and we'll make sure that he answers them. All right. All right. So, I will just turn the floor over to you. You just need to share your screen and we can get started. It disappeared. It was there before.
Okay.
See, things always happen right when you're about to get started. All right, here we go. All right. Well, okay, I'll wait till there we go. Okay, I'm gonna add it up there. Okay. All right. Can you see it?
Yeah. Can it be seen?
Yep, it can be seen. We are ready.
It should say the Black Secret Education Project. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right. It's changed slide to Changing the Game, New Developments in Black History and African Heritage. Can that be seen?
No, it didn't turn yet. It's still the first slide. There we go. Changing the Game, the Black History Man.
Okay. All right, so it can be seen. All right, let me get straight into it. So the presentation is called Changing the Game, New Developments in Black History and African Heritage. So the big question that many people will be asking is, what's in it for me? Well, I'm going to present new information that is empowering information on Black or African history. I'm going to present detailed content that will expand your mind, and I'm going to present ideas and concepts that will increase your personal effectiveness as you triumph through life. Can I check again that this is being seen? Can I check?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it's being seen.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
All right, so our topics for today then, there are two. Introducing the blacksecret.co.uk, the first online teaching resource for Black history and Pan-African heritage, available all over the world, and new developments in African heritage. So those are the two topics that I want to get with in the next 45 minutes. When people think of Black history and African heritage, they think of what I call the mighty handful, the big five scholars: Professor Sheikh Anta Diop, Professor John Henrik Clarke, Professor Chancellor James Williams, Professor Yusuf Ben Yochanan, and Professor John G. Jackson. So when people think of Black history, these are the five names that come up. And then another brilliant body of work was produced by Professor Ivan van Sertima and his students and associates and so on, people like Wayne Chandler, Runoka Rashidi, and Dr. Charles S. Finch. And they were responsible for books like African Presence in Early Asia, Black Women in Antiquity, African Presence in Early Europe, etc., etc. And what happened was these two groups of scholars inspired the Portland Model Baseline essays that potentially could have radicalized American school teaching in 1987. According to the preface we read, one of the objectives was to develop in all students a better understanding and appreciation of the history, culture, and contributions to society of different ethnic groups and cultures. And the outcome was, in 1987, Michael Harris laid out how you could revolutionize the teaching of art. Joyce Braden Harris laid out how you could revolutionize the teaching of English. Beatrice Lumpkin laid out how you could revolutionize the teaching of mathematics. Hunter Adams did the same thing for science. John Henrik Clark did the same thing for social science and history. And Charshi Lawrence McIntyre did the same thing for music. And inspired by this, what I did was to update their findings to produce a series of books. So I wrote When We Rule to update history teaching. I wrote African Mathematics alongside John Matthews to update mathematics teaching. And then came the trilogy of books on Black people in the history of science. Then came a couple of books on Black people in the history of religion to revolutionize what could be done with religious education. And then came the Black musical tradition and early Black literature, ways that we could revolutionize music teaching and literature teaching. Now, one of my teams put together a program to revolutionize adult Pan-African education and get this information to the general public. And we call it the Black Secret Education Project. And the idea is we are quietly empowering the people because we want to produce adults who can move themselves forward and the Black community forward. And we want to engage people all over the world with our program. You could be in London, Toxteth, Harlem, Kingston, Atlanta, Abuja, Nairobi, Accra, elsewhere. We want to engage you through the Black Secret Education Project, and we want to engage you through the Black Secret Business Project. So why did we call it the Black Secret? Well, secrets empower those who know and disempower those who don't. Unfortunately, Black history is still kept a secret, but there are people outside our community who do know our heritage but have kept it quiet to empower themselves. Interestingly, The Secret revealed principles of self-empowerment to the masses, and therefore, the Black Secret reveals empowering information on Black history and African heritage with the ultimate aim of empowering people not just through the Black Secret Education Project, which is the When We Ruled History course, but also through the Black Secret Business Project. Now, the content of what we did is based on a book called When We Ruled. Now, what is that book?
I am a student of history, so I got to recommend some history books, especially because it is Black History Month. When We Ruled by Robin Walker. This is one of the dopest books. Like, I promise you, this book is so bomb. It has color pictures in it, but the thing I love most about it, let me find it. It has a chronological order of all of the pharaohs from ancient Kemet. Check this out. This is so dope. I said ancient Kemet. So it has this chronological order of all of the pharaohs, and it goes from the first intermediate period to the Middle Kingdom, second intermediate. It's just all of the dynasties in chronological order of all of the different pharaohs. And then it has color pictures in it, like I said. Really, really dope. So if you are a student of history, make sure you get this book.
So the content then of our program is based on that book, When We Ruled. And ultimately, we will reveal the Black Secret in 5 phases over the next 18 months. Phases 1 and 2 concentrate on medieval African heritage and ancient African heritage. Phase 3 is global Black people over the last 500 years. Phase 4 is the Black Secret Business Project, where we want affiliates who are interested to join our program and sell our program. And the subsequent phases will cover all the updates to the Portland Model Baseline essays and in all the areas: mathematics, science and technology, religion and spirituality, music and literature, art and architecture, business and entrepreneurship, and great thinkers in the social sciences. So we will be revealing this content in the next 18 months. So how do we want the community to engage with us? Well, ultimately, we want 1 million African heritage homes from all over the world to subscribe to our program. We want every African heritage university to subscribe to our program. And we want entrepreneurial people to sell our program as affiliates. And imagine what 1 million empowered households could achieve. Let that sink in. Think about what that would do. So the question is, how would things in our communities change if we achieve this goal? One of our artists had an answer for the African Americans listening. There's a music called UK Garage, and there was a garage group, and this is what they had to say.
Yes, it's all over. Lisa Mafia, JD Dreddy Production, right hand of your nastiness.
So according to Lisa Mafia, if we could get 1 million African heritage households to get with this program, it's all over. Okay, so the main theme for the presentation is what is new in African heritage. So the obvious question is, what exactly do I mean by new? This is what I mean. I mean, what's new in African heritage that you're not going to find in the scholarship of the Big Five scholars? Professor Sheikh Anta Diop didn't say it. Professor Chancellor Williams didn't say it. Professor John Jackson, Professor Yusuf Ben Yokana, Professor John Henrik Clark didn't say it. Why? Because this is information that has been found since their research came out. So this is no attack on the Big Five scholars. Our work is very much based on the Big Five. But this is what's been found since their work was done. So as a starter, I raised the question, why do so many people look down on African heritage? And in 1958, a German scholar, Jan Heinz Jahn, wrote a book called Muntu. And in that book, he wrote the following: 2 essential cultural achievements were missing in the old Africa, however, architecture and writing. And to his credit, Mr. Jahn partly atoned for this false statement when he issued the brilliant book Neo-African Literature a few years later. However, the idea that Africa has little or no early writings or little or no early architecture is still the mainstream perspective. And today, we are going to address the supposed lack of architecture. So that's the theme that I want to get with in this session. So we're going to start with Nubian architecture of the Middle Ages. What you're seeing here is a photograph of the ruins of the Cathedral of the Granite Columns in Nubia, in Sudan, in a city called Old Dongola, 7th century AD. And this was the most important religious building in medieval Nubia. This was built 1,000 years before St. Paul's Cathedral in central London. Now, capitals from the Cathedral of the Granite Columns have survived. And when the scholars did the research, they reconstructed what the Cathedral of the Granite Columns looked like. And you can see on the front cover of this book are, strangely enough, Polish archaeologists dominate Sudanese archaeology. So this is written by the Polish scholars, and it's called The Cathedral in Old Dongola and its Antecedents. So can you see what the cathedral would look like? You can see the columns, you can see the round arches, and this is what the Sudanese were building in the 7th century AD, 600 and something AD. Now, window grills from the Cathedral of the Granite Columns have survived, and not only the window grills, but actual window glass was found at the Makurian cities of Old Dongola and Hambuk Hall. Now, the capital of the Sudanese empire of Makuria was called Old Dongola. And from the 8th century to the 9th centuries AD, high status houses were built in the north of the ecclesiastical complex. And according to a Polish scholar, Jacob Bielski, these houses, let's read about them. Further northwards extend an 8th to 9th century housing complex. 8th century is 700 and something AD, 9th century is 800 and something AD. The houses discovered here differ in their hitherto unencountered spatial layout, as well as their functional program. And they put in brackets what they mean by functional program. Water supply installation, bathroom with heating system, and interiors decorated with murals. Are we feeling this? 700, 800 AD. That's 1,200 to 1,300 years ago in Sudan. They had housing complexes with water supply installations, hot and cold water, and bathroom systems. Are we understanding this? So where was all of this? Here's a map of medieval Nubia on a modern map where Sudan is today. And you can see the kingdom of Nobadia, the kingdom of Makuria, and the kingdom of Alwa. And everything I've been talking about so far is the Makurian city of Old Dongola. But we're also going to go to the Nobadian city of Faras, because what's there? Well, in the 20th century, the Polish scholars visited the ruins of Faras Cathedral, built in 707 AD, 900 years before St. Paul's in London. And they found it was in ruins. It was still impressive, but it was a ruin. And then they worked on it to find out, well, what did this look like? And this was not before pilfering bits of the cathedral, because the cathedral is now in bits. That particular capital is in the British Museum. Other bits of the cathedral are in Poland and this or that place. But when they did the reconstruction, this is what the lower level of the cathedral looked like. And here's the top level, and you can see, just like St. Paul's in London, you've got the dome and then the cross, and then the full model looks like this. Built 900 years before St. Paul's. Now, the Polish didn't stop there. They reconstructed 2 Nubian monasteries, and these monasteries were the largest buildings in medieval Nubia, in medieval Sudan. And I'm going to show you a piece of film footage where we're going to see a walk through these 2 monasteries. And we're interested in the details inside these monasteries. Okay, check this out. So this one is the Ghazali Monastery. And as we look through, you can see where the churches are. I like the fact that they reconstructed it with black folks, which I think is good. Okay, you can see here the dormitory. Again, we're continuing our walk through. And as we walk through, we're going to see some of the other details. The refectory. The mill. The toilets, the latrines. So the idea then of a building with indoor toilets, and here we're looking at a second monastery called the Old Dongola Monastery. And again, we get the idea of the size, the scale, and the impressiveness. Okay, so I've shown you a little bit of what was in early East Africa. Here we're going to move to West Africa, and we're going to look at the Songhai Empire at its height in the 16th century. The Songhai Empire spread over modern countries that we would today call Senegal and Gambia, Guinea, Mauritania, Mali, Niger, and Nigeria. We're interested in the capital city of Gao, but we're also interested in Timbuktu, and we're also interested in Jenne. So what was found in the capital city of Gao? Well, Dr. Tim Insall of Cambridge University recovered an artifact in a 1993 excavation and later exhibited it in the British Museum. So what was this recovered artifact? We read, fragments of alabaster window surrounds and a piece of pink window glass. Gao, 10th to 14th centuries. Meaning the capital city of Songhai, somewhere between 900 AD and 1300 and something AD. At some point between that gap, they had glass windows. And that raises the question, how many other cities in the world at that time could boast that its buildings had glass windows? The city of Timbuktu. Now you can see the panorama of the city, 2- and 3-story buildings. And the building closest to us is the Great Mosque of Timbuktu, built in 1326. Here's another image of the Great Mosque of Timbuktu. And as you can see, it's a castle. Built in 1326 during the time of Mansa Musa I. And we get the full development of the architectural styles of West Africa. West African architecture from the desert belt is called Western Sudanic architecture. And you can see the city of Djenné, where the palace is in the center of the city. That was established in the 11th century. It was converted into a mosque in the year 1204. And you can see the 15th and 16th century houses of 2 and 3 stories spread out across the city. Now, did we know that that is how medieval West Africa was going on back in the day? Now, that particular monument, the people of Mali are very, very proud of it. And I took this photograph from the Bamako National Museum in Mali. And you can see this reconstruction of this palace that has since become a mosque. They've reconstructed it, this little model of it in the museum park. Now, did I mention 2 and 3 story houses in the cities of Timbuktu and Djenné? Well, here we can see plans of the ground floor A, second floor B, and rooftop terrace C of an adobe house in Djenné. And we can see A is the ground floor, B is the second floor, and C is the rooftop terrace. And on the rooftop terrace is a shalanga, which means latrine, which means toilet. So these 15th and 16th century houses had indoor toilets. So this is not just something that we see in medieval Nubia. In East Africa, we're seeing something similar in West Africa. Now, while we are still in ignorance about our history, this is what others are doing with our heritage. This is what others are doing with your heritage. This is what others are doing with my heritage. Now, can you see that that building looks like the palace that we've just seen in Djenné, which has since become the Great Mosque of Djenné? And it's actually the Misiri Mosque in Fréjus, France, built in 1930. This monument is the Timbuktu Theater, Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay, Florida, built in the United States in 2004. This monument is the Crocodile Park in Torremolinos in Spain, built in relatively recent times. This monument is the Museum of African Art in Jeju-do, South Korea. Yes, you heard that correct. South Korea. Let me explain this monument. What happened was, because Africans used to trade in the Far East, people in the Far East have got African ivory and other products. And somebody had the idea that those African deposits in South Korea should be housed in a museum. So they decided to build a museum in an iconic African style. So they picked the palace in Djenné, that's now the Great Mosque of Djenné, and they used that as a template to build this museum. So the key question is, aren't you embarrassed that there are people in South Korea who know more about your heritage than you do? Let that sink in. So where next? We're now going to move to the Nigeria region, where you've got the Yoruba civilization, where you've got the Benin civilization. The Yoruba civilization is approximately 600 AD to 1300 AD for the good period. And the Benin period, the great period, is 1450 to 1650. So what's there? Well, Ife was the capital of the Yoruba kingdom. Some people call the capital Ile-Ife. It's the same place. And it was founded in the 6th century. And by the time we get to the 12th century AD, the ruler lived in a palace made of enameled brick and decorated with porcelain tiles. And the city itself was laid out a little bit like the city of Pompeii, the way the Romans laid it out, where you've got groups of rooms are grouped around a courtyard. And this is a layout called impluvium. So if you see groups of rooms grouped around a courtyard, that's called impluvium architecture. Okay, let's see some of these palaces. The palace from the 12th century, by the time we get to the 20th century, it is in bad shape. It is in ruin. And what happened was German scholars in 1913 painted it as a ruin, but you can see some people standing up against the doorways. And that to me looks like a 2, possibly a 3-story building. Are we feeling this? And that is the palace in Ife. And this is one in Owo. And you can see huge numbers of rooms grouped around the courtyards. And the courtyards have been labeled A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. Hundreds of rooms in this palace. Now, this particular palace, the Afin Owo. Afin is Yoruba for palace. I found a photograph of this palace. No, not a photograph, an etching. And the etching appeared in this book. Are we feeling that? Are we feeling that? Are we enjoying that? Now, doesn't that look like something off another planet? That is the Afin Owo, the palace. And you've got these weird triangular structures. I've no idea what any of this is. But that particular structure is that same 100-room structure that I showed you the plan of 30 seconds ago.
Excuse me, Professor Walker. The slide didn't. Okay, I think now the slide moved. Okay. Yeah. Yes. And and let me just tell tell everyone, please, this is so powerful. Y'all need to make sure you share this video right now. Okay, share the video. Please share this video of Professor Robin Walker breaking this down. 1 million Black people. All right. Go ahead, Professor.
Okay, so we've looked at Yoruba architecture. Let's introduce Benin architecture. All right, let me give you some background. In England, there's a TV program called QI, which means quite interesting. And the people that present this program are normally what we would call left-wingers, liberals. In other words, people who shouldn't be anti-Black, shouldn't be. But check out how they handle the question, where is the world's largest man-made structure? Check out how they handle it and how they eventually arrive at the truth. And this is teaching material just by itself. Now, this film clip is going to be about 2 minutes, but 2 minutes of learning, teaching and learning material.
Anyway, name the largest single man-made structure on the planet.
Oh.
Not falling for that one.
No way. No way.
Is it going to be a 50-mile-long tunnel or a bridge or something like that?
What we've got out of the way, because it's hanging here like a worry, is it's not the Great Wall of China.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Try a continent where it might be.
Europe. Okay.
Europe is not where it's
Asia.
Australia. Nor Asia, nor Australia.
North America.
Nor North America.
South America.
Nor South America.
Antarctica.
Nor Antarctica.
Arctic.
Russia.
Africa.
Oh. Africa. Thank you.
really hope Ban Ki-moon isn't watching this one.
So is it an Egyptian? Is it North?
It's Nigeria, in fact.
Oh.
It's great earthworks of Benin.
The great earthworks of Benin.
Yeah. Sometimes called the walls of Benin.
The walls called Benin.
Defensive
Earthen walls of Benin in
dug by the Edo people. 10,000 miles in length.
10,000 miles. By the Edo.
10,000 miles in length.
How could I forget?
I know. 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China.
Okay.
Puny little wall.
Consumed 100 times more material than the Great Pyramid of Cheops. Took 700 years and an estimated 150 million hours of digging. Severely damaged by the British when they sacked and burned Benin in 1897.
Aren't the British? Yeah. Right.
Now that's teaching and learning material, because here you've got a group of left-wing and liberal people who think it's more likely that there's a monument built in Antarctica or Arctic than in Africa. Now let that sink in. Let that sink in. As far as I know, there aren't any people in Antarctica. As far as I know, there aren't any people in the Arctic, but they think it more likely than Africa. Let that sink in. Now, what did they just reveal about Benin architecture? The largest earthenwork structures in the world, 10,000 miles worth of walling. Wow. Okay, so where next? We're now going to go to the land of the Mossi. Now, of all of our great scholars, only Chancellor Williams have even mentioned the Mossi, but he doesn't give us any details. So I'm going to show what Professor Williams may have been aware of, but he didn't put in his book. What happened was a French agent went into the land of the Mossi and the land of the Kong, by the way. Kong is where Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, is today. Mossi is where Burkina Faso is today. And this French agent went there on a reconnaissance mission to map out what was there. And in this reconnaissance mission, this French agent, his name was Captain Louis Binga, drew this. So this is Burkina Faso. And as you can see, that's clearly a castle. And turn over some more pages and you can see another castle. Turn over some more pages and you can see the city walls and the city spreading out behind those walls. Now, before my say-so, who would have said that this is how the people of Burkina Faso were going on back in the day before my say-so? What appears to be 3-story buildings and a whole series of them in the land of the Mossi. This is presumably a mosque. You can see the porcupine tower, the minaret, with the wooden buttresses sticking out of it. And you can see that that would presumably be about a 4-story building, something like that. And here's the biggie. Hope you're all sat down for this one because I don't want people having a heart attack. A metals factory in the land of the Mossi, Burkina Faso. I've shown this image to engineers, and whenever I've shown it to them, they flipped. They didn't know that they were iron-working factories like this in the land of the Mossi. And scholars have estimated, or to be exact, African-American professor Vincent Taraku Farah has estimated that at one time these factories were turning out 500 metric tons of iron per year. Are we feeling this? All right, where next? We're now going to go to the lands of the Ashanti, which is where Ghana is today on a modern map. And in the land of the Ashanti, an Englishman, Thomas Bowditch, reproduced this image, and it says part of the piazza in the palace. And you can see that the structures are all 2 stories. And the Odumata's sleeping room, which is a 2-story building. And you can see some other buildings that are 1-story buildings. We turn over the page, some more 2-story buildings. Now, the 2-story building at the top of the page It's called the oldest house in Kumasi. Can you see that there's a column in the middle of the house and there's a room above that column? So we need to know, what is that column and what is the room above the column? It's a kind of curved column that looks this kind of shape, and you can see that in the middle of the house and the room above it. And here we've got some more one-story buildings. So we turn over the page and we read Thomas Bowditch is describing Kumasi in 1817, the capital city of the Ashantis. And we read, what surprised me most about the people of Kumasi, and is not the least of the many circumstances deciding their great superiority over the generality of Negroes, was the discovery that every house had its cloakie, besides the common ones for the lower orders without the town. So we've seen a word here, cloakie. What on earth is a cloakie? All right, let me tell you, look it up. It means toilet. So every house had its toilet. Now we're going to get a description of the toilet. They were generally situated under a small archway in the most retired angle of the building, but not unfrequently upstairs, within a separate room like a small closet, where the large hollowed pillow also assists to support the upper story. The holes are of a small circumference, but dug to a surprising depth, and boiling water is daily poured down, which effectually prevents the least offense. Meaning that once you use the toilet, you pour down boiling water, and that will kill any unpleasant smells. So the houses are two-story. Every house has its toilet, and the toilets are upstairs in their own room, and they are above that, that column that's shaped like this. I showed you where that is. The room above it is the toilet. And every house in the Ashanti capital of Kumasi had its toilet. All right, now the palace. Now, this is an image of the palace that was published by the British. And you can see that there are 3 soldiers in the foreground, but 2 soldiers in the background. And the 2 soldiers in the background are close to the front of the palace. And so we can infer by looking at those 2 soldiers that this is a 4-story structure. And this 4-story structure wasn't built by the Ashantis. It was built by another group of Africans known as the Fantis. So the Ashantis didn't build this. It's their castle, but they didn't build it. Their neighbors built it. All right, so what do we know about this 4-story structure? All right, I found a book called The Story of the Ashanti Campaign by William Winwood Reed. He worked for the Times newspaper, and let's get to the point. We turn over the page and it says, an ordinary house has 1 courtyard, a large house 3 or 4. The king's palace had 10 or 12 courtyards. What does it tell you? This is impluvium architecture, just like the Benin Empire, just like the Yoruba cities. Let's read on. But the part of the palace fronting the street was a stone house, Moorish in its style, such as those that are built at Cape Coast, with a flat roof and a parapet, and a suite of apartments on the first floor. It was built by Fanti masons many years ago. The Fantis are this other ethnic group that are in the region, but they're not strictly speaking Ashantis. The rooms upstairs reminded me of Wardour Street. Each was a perfect old curiosity shop. Books in many languages, Bohemian glass, clocks, silver plate, old furniture, Persian rugs, Kidderminster carpets, etc., etc. The rooms upstairs reminded me of Wardour Street. Where is that? Well, for those of you that have ever been to central London, there's a part of central London called Soho. The other name for Soho is Chinatown. And when my man says, the rooms upstairs reminded me of Wardour Street, each was a perfect old curiosity shop, he's saying it reminds him of what we would today call Chinatown. Okay, where was the Swahili Confederation? The Swahili Confederation was all the way along the East African coast. So you had the city of Mogadishu on the coast of Somalia, Malindi and Lamu on the coast of Kenya, Mafia and Kilwa on the coast of Tanzania, Sofala on the coast of Mozambique, Sinna are in Mozambique but more inland. But we're going to look at Malindi, some people call it Gedi, and we're going to look at Lamu because those are the places where there's some heritage we want to look at. So who were the people that built this East African Swahili culture? Well, the documents tell us that there were two ethnic groups involved. One ethnic group were called Zenj. This is where the word Zanzibar comes from. It's from the word Zenj. And we are told that they were extremely black in complexion with tattoo marks cut into their faces. And the second group were more northerly, and they were called Berbers. And we are told specifically that they are Sudan, which means a people of the blacks. So the Zenj were extremely black, and the Berbers were merely black. Does that make sense? Yeah. And together, the Arabic name was given Swahili, which is coming from Sawahil. That means simply the coast. So these are the Bantu-speaking people who live along the coast. One lot are jet black and the other lot are black. All right. So how were these jet black people or black people, how were they living? Well, we're going to deal with the question, what did the houses in Lamu look like? Lamu on a modern map is Kenya. And to tell us what these houses in Lamu looked like, where I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of English historian Dr. Basil Davidson. Now, what did he say?
Lamu was just one of many Swahili towns, built in coral stone all the way along the coast from Somalia down to Mozambique. The domestic architecture of Lamu has been no mere copy of the styles of Arabia or India.
From the outside of a traditional Swahili house, there's really nothing to see except a blank wall and a porch with benches for receiving guests. And even when the handsome front doors are opened, there's still only a blank wall behind them. But once inside, it's a very different story. 600 or 700 years ago, when houses like this one first began to be designed and built by Swahili architects for leading men and merchants, there were few houses anywhere else in the world so well designed for comfortable city life.
Are we feeling that? 600 or 700 years ago. 600 years ago is the 1400s. 700 years ago is the 1300s. And that is how East Africans were going on during that period. Now, I visited the Lamu Museum and I took this photograph. Now, let me explain what's going on in the photograph. I couldn't get a bigger picture because if I was to go any further back, I'd be outside the room. So this was the best I could do. And can you see on the left-hand side, the bath, and on the right-hand side, the toilet? Are we feeling this? A bath and a toilet. Now, I visited the Kenyan city of Gedi. Some people think this is the old Malindi, and I explored the palace. So I took my photographs. And are we feeling this? And I counted 54 rooms plus 11 courtyards, 7 burial areas, and 6 double cubicle toilets. If people don't believe me, this is what the published plan of that complex looks like. And you can count for yourself 11 courtyards, 54 rooms, etc., etc., etc. Now, you know, you've got guides written for tourists, and this is a tourist guide to Kenya, and you can see it says Gedi, and let me blow it up. The buildings were constructed of coral rag, coral lime and earth, and some have pictures incised into the plaster finish of their walls, though many of these have deteriorated in recent years. The toilet facilities in the houses are particularly impressive, generally in a double cubicle style, with a squat toilet in one and a washstand in the other where a bowl would have been used. Fancier versions even have double wash basins with a bidet between them. Are we feeling this?
Wow.
All right. And again, this didn't come from any black scholarship. This is a tourist guide laying this out. Are we feeling this? All right, so what have we seen? What have been some of the new discoveries in African architecture? Well, we've seen castles in West Africa. The Great Mosque of Djenné is a castle. The Great Mosque of Timbuktu is a castle. We saw at least half a dozen castles in Mossi, which is Burkina Faso. We've seen housing complexes, hot and cold running water, toilets, glass windows in West Africa, toilets indoors on the terrace, in some cases on the second floor, in other cases, all kinds of grandeur that nobody is talking about. And these findings have indeed changed the game beyond where the mighty handful of Diop, Clark, Ben Yochanan, Jackson, and Chancellor, way beyond where these mighty scholars left it. So the game is moving on. Okay, so let me draw a conclusion. The Black Secret Education Project is based on the principle that there are three reasons why we study our history. The first is to confront limiting beliefs, because there's a relationship between what you believe and what you think and how you feel. There's a relationship between how you feel and what actions you take. There's a relationship between what actions you take and the results that you get. And the results that you get influences what you believe and what you think. So it's very important that that is a positive feedback loop. And this is why history is important, because that way you can confront beliefs that are limiting you. The second reason why we study our history is to build a team. I have to see value in you. You have to see value in me. We have to see value in each other. And the way we see value in each other is by understanding our shared history. The third reason why we study our history is so that you've got something to comfort this child. This meme here says, what black children feel like after being taught their ancestors were just slaves. Everybody's looking at that black boy. Everyone's pointing at him. He's descended from slaves. So every time the word slave gets mentioned, that's him. And no doubt when you were at school and slavery got mentioned, that was you too, with your head bowed. Now, what do you tell that child? Well, the only way you can tell your child that their ancestors weren't just slaves is to know what we were doing in early Africa, what our heritage is, what we can be proud of, so that you realize that our ancestors weren't just slaves. Now, when you learn your history, it makes you mentally stronger. After all, do you want to spend all your adult life living like this? Are we feeling that graphic? Black people don't work. You have to admit that.
Damn, that's good. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, no, people want to enjoy it. I'm going to give people the opportunity to enjoy it. Now, that wasn't my meme. I found that, and I thought that's teaching material right there.
That's teaching material.
All right, so the big questions for each of you are remembering the relationship between beliefs and thoughts, and then the relationship between what you believe and what you think, and how you feel and what actions you take, what results you get, and how the results that you get feed back into how you believe or how you think. How dramatically will your actions change when you master your history and heritage? How dramatically will your newfound knowledge of self skyrocket your own results? Would you like to feel the giant within? Therefore, you must get all you can from the Black Secret Education Program. And imagine if 1 million households in every Black university has access to this material, what would happen? Well, in the words of Lisa Mafia,
Yes, it's all over. Lisa Mafia, JD Dreddy Production, right hand of your nasty happiness.
So in the words of Lisa Mafia, if we were able to achieve this, it's all over.
It's all over.
Yeah, so what should you do next? Well, go to our website, www.theblacksecret.co.uk, and subscribe. So how much is it? Well, it is just £35 per month. I think the American price is $47 per month.
That's it?
But we do have a special offer. We're offering people a 57% discount. But you're going to move quickly because the price is going to go up. The Black Secret Education course, our special offer, £15 per month, which is a £57 discount, which I think is $20 per month, which is the early bird price. And that will give you access to all available content. As we put more and more content on the program, you will get it at that 57% discount price, which I think is $20. All the lessons are presented with convenient bite-sized chapters. All of the content is downloadable. The course notes and the slides are downloadable. There is also the Black Secret student community, and you can teach yourself and test yourself because every lesson ends with a quiz, and you can do the quiz and send it through us, and we will automatically mark it and send it back to you. And the classes are filmed in a London classroom. All the classes are online. You can watch them at your own convenience. So if you want to watch them at 10:30 in the morning, you can. If you want to watch them at 6 p.m. in the evening, you can. You want to watch them at midnight, you can. If you want to start a class and stop it, and go and do some laundry and come back and start it again, you can. Entirely at your own convenience. You work entirely at your own pace. So you can start and stop your class anytime. And you have full access to the lecture notes. So the thing that I'm talking about, you can get that, and you can get it as slides, and you can get it as text. So what have we learned about the first online Pan-African teaching resource for Black history and African heritage available all over the world? Well, there's a course. You can join us. We are called the Black Secret Education Project, and the new developments in African heritage, as great as the big five scholars were, Sheikh Anta Diop, Yusuf Ben Yochanan, John Henry Clark, Chancellor James Williams, and John Glover Jackson, the game has moved on. And we now know tons more about African heritage and Black history than they knew when they were doing their research. So the game has moved on. So this concludes the presentation, Changing the Game. Thank you very much.
Oh my, okay. You know, as you were talking, I'm signing up right now. Everyone needs to be signing up right now, okay? I am on the screen for the payment. I just have to, it's like my purse is right over there. I was like, okay, should I run and get my credit card? But I'm gonna do this as soon as we're done. Professor Walker, this is brilliant.
As I said, I'm not a professor, but it's still good. It's still good.
No, this is what professors do. Don't they teach? Well, what can we call you? Baba
Just Robin Walker, or you can call me the Black History Man.
The Black History Man. I like the Black History Man. That's what's up. Listen, y'all need to support this Black History Man because he got it in. Oh my, okay. Okay, everyone's clapping. I need to keep this up, so I'm not going to show comments right now. We need to go to the Black Secret, go to his website. It's theblacksecret.co.uk/. And I'm putting here, I put it in the, I'm sorry. It's up here, but I'm also putting it in the chat for everyone to sign up. And 1 million people is a drop in a bucket for Black folks. You know, like and you're right. Each one teach one. This was so inspiring. First of all, how many people are on your team?
Oh, there's 3 of us. There's 3 of us.
There's 3 of y'all that did all of this?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. The Black History Man. Yes. I got to put this one up. Okay. If you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. Please, this is, God, I'm speechless. I was writing, I had started, I was taking notes, and then I had some questions, but as soon as I write down a question, I was like, oh, wait, you answered it with your presentation. That's what's up. So, I noticed, okay, one of the things you were talking about the 18-month spread out. So when did you actually like launch this?
We did this in April. And what we did in April is we made the medieval African heritage available. And the type of heritage that we dealt with is what I dealt with in this presentation. I was able to give you 45 minutes of the type of content. So we dealt with the empires of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. We dealt with the civilizations of the Nigeria region, Nok, Igbo, Yoruba, Benin, and Hausaland. We dealt with Kanem-Bornu. We dealt with medieval Nubia. We dealt with Ethiopia, places like Lalibela. We dealt with the Swahilis. We dealt with Great Zimbabwe and Munomotapa. We dealt with Congo and Ndongo and Matamba, Queen Nzinga country. Mm-hmm. So that was the medieval stuff. Then we dealt with the ancient stuff. The ancient stuff is human origins, Kemet, Kush, the kingdom of Tarseti, and the black civilizations of Asia Minor, the kind of Rashidi material like Sumer, Elam, and so on and so forth. Then we dealt with the North African civilizations of Carthage and Numidia. Before the Arabs took over North Africa, the whole of it used to be black. And so we dealt with the black period where you've got Carthage, you've got Numidia, and what's there, and there's heritage there too. So that's the kind of content that we released. And then the next phase will be when we deal with the last 500 years. And then after that, the next phase will be Black people in the history of science and technology. So we keeping it moving.
You are keeping it moving. So now, when you talked about, that this is literally a virtual classroom, is there any way for people that are watching or who subscribe to speak to one another or to have any communication with each other?
Not yet, but we're going to do that. We're going to do that.
Okay, that's what's up. Okay, there's a few questions that came up, and I will just put them on the screen. That way you can see them.
Okay, do you want me to answer that?
Yes. Yes.
Surprisingly, there are books on African architecture. There really are. But what it is most of us don't know. So the leading authority on African architecture, there's a Nigerian scholar called Nnamdi Ele, and he wrote a book called African Architecture, Evolution and Transformation. And he's coming hard. So Kemet is in there. So he's taken the story from Kemet all the way across Africa, north, east, south, and west, and central. And he doesn't just deal with traditional African architecture, he deals with the modern stuff as well. So he's very, very comprehensive, but he's clear that, this is African tradition. Mm-hmm. He's not the only scholar. I mentioned Polish scholars have got in on the game. There's a Polish scholar called Z.R. Domachowski, and he's written a book called An Introduction to Traditional Nigerian Architecture, volumes 1, 2, and 3. Volume 1 is dealing with Hausa architecture. Volume 2 is dealing with Yoruba architecture. And volume 3 is dealing with Igbo architecture. Again, superb, because that the Nigeria region has got palaces and mosques and temples and all kinds of stuff that no one's talking about. Mm. Z.R. Domachowski has not only got that, but he's got the photographs and the plans as well. Then you've got places like Ethiopia. Because Ethiopia was only colonized for a short period of time by the Italians, their heritage wasn't destroyed. So you've got cities in Ethiopia like Aksum, where you've got a city of obelisks. You've got Lalibela, which is a city of underground churches. You've got a city called Gondar, which is a city of castles. Yes, you heard that correct, castles. And then you've got a city called Harar, which is a city of mosques, all indigenously built by Africans. And, you know, that heritage is still there. So the whole thing then about using old African knowledge for reasons of environmental and sustainability, if we knew our heritage, we could do it. We really could do it. And I'm a firm believer that that's where we need to go.
100%. 100%. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Dr. Patah in the chat had this question. So did I. The first person you mentioned that did the book on architecture, I think, yeah, it's the first one you mentioned, Naimbi. Can you just say his name again?
I'll spell it out.
Okay. Oh, great. You're going to type it in there. That's what's up. Thank you.
Yeah, Nnamdi Ele. And his book is called African Architecture, Evolution and Transformation.
Okay. All right.
Now, it's a rare book. Basically, the first print runs sold out. So I think if you are going to get it, you're going to get a rare, secondhand copy. But it's worth it. It's too serious a book for you not to have, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is excellent because a lot of times we're talking about. I was looking at an old clip of HAPI Talks. We're trying to make some of them into smaller pieces for people to digest. And something Mfudishi Juhutimus was saying when he was talking about schooling, is that we understand that there's a need for people in our community to build our own schools. We shouldn't, we understand that very clear, but the likelihood of someone building their school next week or in 2 weeks, may not happen. But this right here, this is schooling. So even in those, in these, if you're in a space where, you have to go to traditional education wherever you live, this is a way that you can just get tapped in. And even like, what you're talking about, it makes you want to go in more deep. Because as I'm sitting here and I was like, you took us around the whole entire Africa with this architecture. And I'm like, okay. And I'm listening. I was like, I need to go to these places. I want to see these things. So this is excellent. Okay, wait, someone else. Okay, I'm sorry, family. I am. Okay, here we go. Are the construction plans complete with dimensions of some of the buildings available?
Yes, they are. In some of the architecture books. So, for example, I mentioned the palace in Gene that's now become a mosque, and the houses in Gene. Two architects, one was called Pierre Mas and another one was called Momastique, wrote a book called Gene. Unfortunately, the book's in French. Gene, chef d'oeuvre architectural, an architectural masterpiece. Now, my French is almost non-existent, but because I've got friends who can read French, they've been able to read it to me, and he's got the plans in there. Some of the plans are also in Nnamdi Ele's book, and then with the Nigerian monuments, Z.R. Dmytrovsky has got plans, isometric drawings, and so forth. For some of the other monuments, you might just see odd things. So there are several books about the underground churches in Lalibela. There are several books about the obelisks in Aksum. There's a book called Swahili Chic, which is about the grand houses of the Swahili. And that tradition is some of the grandest houses that Africans have ever lived in. I mean, as I said, it sets a standard. So there's a whole bunch of research that a lot of us are just not familiar with, because a lot of us think that the big five scholars were the final word, and they weren't the final word. They were the first word. And then what we're supposed to do is dive in deeper and run with it.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay. I'm just putting this in the chat that I need to hear, I need to see you guys typing that you signed up. Okay. And the price, like the price point, you're basically like you have no business not signing up for this at what you priced it at. So there's really no excuse, family, not to make this happen. So, now, this is, well, let me just ask you this question. So like in the news, there's this huge debate that seems divisive to me, but I want to get your opinions on it with FBA, foundational Black Americans versus, immigrants who've come to America or in other parts of the diaspora. What is your feelings on what's going on right now?
I understand why some African Americans are upset at the sellout antics of some of the people coming from the diaspora to America. And so you've got groups like Blacks for Trump, and you find out that a large number of them are not indigenous African Americans. And I understand why you're going to get African Americans upset about that. I get it. I truly get it. But this is what the FBA people are not looking at. They're not looking at the other side of the argument. And that's this. Yes, there are people coming from outside America who are on a sellout program, but there are also people coming from outside America, such as Stokely Carmichael, who was from Trinidad. He was the father of Black Power. You've got Malcolm X. One of his parents was from Grenada, which is in the Caribbean. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan, both of his parents, as far as I know, were from the Caribbean. How comes no one's talking about this? The Honorable Marcus Garvey, one of the ladies that started Black Lives Matter, Opal Tometi, was from Nigeria. No one's talking about that. So what it is that the Nigerians will be pointed out when they're on a sellout program. But when they do something that's helping African Americans, such as Black Lives Matter, ain't no one mentioning that she's Nigerian. And so the second thing is, and I think the African Americans, you will need to hear this. We are invested in your culture. And a lot of people, they know, but they don't know. So I'm going to spell it out to you all. Everybody knows that from the days of jazz, through the days of soul, through the days of Motown, through the days, right now to the days of hip hop, everybody knows that some African-American material sells in Europe. Everybody knows that. But what no one spells out is who in Europe is buying that stuff. It's us. And so what happens is that, I mean, you can see, I don't know, can you see my book collection?
Yes, it's extensive.
About half of that material is African-American. So I am invested in African-American culture. And if you look at any Black Britain, you look at our book collections, our record collections, our CD collections, our film collections. When you had the new wave of Black films started by Spike Lee and his film She's Gotta Have It, it wasn't just shown in the United States, it was shown in London. We went to see it. When the Hudlin brothers came up with their film, House Party, we went to go and see it. Yes. When it came up, when New Jack City, all that stuff, we went to go and see it. We paid money to that kind of stuff. And what it is that people in America think it's people in Europe. They don't specify who in Europe.
Yeah.
And so this idea comes that we, people from outside America, all we do is take. No, we buy that stuff. Even Tariq Nasheed, the person behind FBA, ask him about what reception we gave him in Birmingham, England, when he showed Hidden Colors 4. We gave him quite possibly the best reception he's ever had. And, ask him about it. And, get him to say how much love we showed him when he brought his film over here.
Yeah. We need each other. We need each other, and we have to recognize each other. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. You have any more? I'm so happy that somebody of your stature is saying something, and you're very clear. You're not mincing your words. So I really appreciate you really talking about this. We had Baina Bello also came on our platform, and she also spoke with the same conviction in terms of not just dividing this. We have way too much work to do. We have 1 million people, and we don't even care where these 1 million Black people come from, but they need to sign up for the Black Secret. Seriously. Do we have any more questions? If you guys have any more questions, please put them in the chat. I just have and maybe I missed this, and I apologize, for this in advance. Okay. When you were describing ancient Egypt, or I don't know if that's a term, you always use the word medieval Egypt. So what does the piece medieval mean? Like, what time period are you referring to?
I don't talk about medieval Egypt, in truth. I talk about medieval Africa, but I don't use medieval Egypt because medieval Egypt isn't African anymore. Do you see?
Okay.
So by the time it gets to the medieval period, we're not there anymore. Apparently, there were some great Black rulers during the medieval period. There's a ruler called Kafur. Kafur was Sudanese, but he ended up as the ruler of Egypt. And he was a great, great, great man from, I think, the 9th century or something like that. But generally speaking, once Egypt is de-Africanized, I drop it from the historical record. All right, medieval just means Middle Ages. And some people use the term medieval to be somewhere between 300 AD and around about 1500, 1600, something like that. That's roughly the medieval period.
Okay.
And this is the period in African history that most Black people don't talk about enough. So we talk about the ancient stuff, and we should talk about the ancient stuff. But my job is to connect it to the medieval stuff too, because we were doing things in the medieval period. And then when we look at the modern period, the last 500 years, yes, a lot of us ended up on slave ships. But even the people that ended up on slave ships ended up doing powerful things. So you've got someone like Malik Ambar ends up on a slave ship and then ends up running 1/20th of India. Yes, you heard that correct.
Wow.
Another Black man ends up on a slave ship and ends up as Generalissimo of the Russian army, Abraham Hannibal. And people need to be talking about this too. Black mathematicians, African Americans will know Benjamin Banneker, but you then find out Benjamin Banneker wasn't the only famous African mathematician in America. Have you heard of Thomas Fuller, the Virginia calculator? He was an enslaved man, and he stayed a slave throughout his whole life. But when it came to doing multi-complex computations, he could do it. So much so that when he died, they wrote about him in one of the white newspapers and said that had he not been enslaved, he could have been up there with the likes of Newton, Isaac Newton.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Wow. I can't wait to rewatch this so that I can see the presentation again. So family, we need for you to go to the Black Secret. The website is right there online. Please go to the website, sign up. And so somebody asked, how long will the 57% be going on?
For a couple of days, but it is for a couple of days because we are going to put the price up closer to the full point. So I would tell people, move as quickly as you can. Don't hang about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, family. So if you watch this in 5 days, you're going to have to pay a little higher price, but even the higher price is not going to put you into bankruptcy. So please, family, please support. I see everyone in the chat is talking about, Professor Robin Walker, he's this, he's a historian, he's the man, he's this and this. So the Black history man is coming here and now asking for our help. So in a way of honoring not only ourselves, but honoring him, is to sign up for a project that is literally, this has to take, I mean, you have 3 people working on this. This is monumental. This is huge. So this is like a part of your life's work. So family, please just, go and sign up. And not only, this is not only for you, but if you have kids, so one of the principles of the HAPI movement is that principle number 4, each one needs to teach one. We have to empower the youth. So it's not enough for you to watch it for yourself. You start there, but everybody knows some kids. They don't even have to be your kids. Everybody got access to some kids someplace. Sit them down and make sure that they are also getting this information. I don't understand. Professor Walker, the Black man, history man, can't make this any easier unless he decided to get on a plane, fly to the United States and go to your house, sit down and open up his laptop. Okay, that's the only way you can make this easier. Yeah, we have to support him. We always talk about, sometimes we can't do everything, but when people are doing something, we've got to support them. So it's cool that we're saying it with our words, but we also need to do it with our economic power, because we do have economic power. The beginning of HAPI says that we put in $1.2 trillion into the economy. And he's only asking for 1 million Black people to pay $20 a month. Okay, so we need to make sure that we are supporting him. I just lost my mind. I didn't lose my mind. I just lost my train of thought, because I was going to ask you, because you said that like phase 5 is this economic plan. Can you give us like a little sneak preview, or we can't get anything?
No, I can tell you. Some people watching this are already affiliate marketers. If you're an affiliate marketer, you already know what this is. You already know what to do. If you join us, you can write to us and say, where is my affiliate link? And you can go take that link and sell that link. You can, and if anyone bites, you get paid. And you get paid more than any network marketing thing out there. You get paid 16%. So whatever you bring in, you get 16%. If you bring them in and they stay forever, you get 16% forever. Do you see? You get it for as long as our business still exists. And so if you're an affiliate marketer, you know what to do. Yeah. There's a business opportunity there. Okay, now, supposing you're not an affiliate marketer. Mm-hmm. One of the things I'm very much a believer in is Black entrepreneurship. My thing is this. There is a great scholar, again, African-American. His name was George Sabira, and he wrote a book called Black Folks Guide to Making Big Money in America. Love the book, and I use it as teaching material. And George Sabira lays it out like this. If Black scholars are not going to teach people how to make money, then who's going to do it? And I can't argue with that argument. I can't argue with it. So based on that, one of the things I teach is entrepreneurship. And one of the later phases is I'm going to do a whole program on entrepreneurship for that people that don't know. Do you see? So if you don't know about entrepreneurship, I'm going to teach that. And that's going to be a whole module. And then I'm going to show you how being an affiliate marketer with us will become a part of what you can do to become an entrepreneur. It's not the whole package, but it'll give you a part and the whole steps that you need to make to get off the plantation into your own business, developing your own income streams. I'm going to give you the steps. I can't do it for you, but I can give you the steps. And the kind of things where people do the courses in the hotels over the weekend teaching entrepreneurship. Very often, people come away with those courses with no real content and no real next step. Because I've done those courses myself and I am an educator, I know how to structure the information so I can give you the next step, the next step, the next step.
Absolutely.
I can't do the work for you, but I can give you the steps. And if you want an easy first step, then I can, if you don't know about affiliates, I can make that available.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're talking about this. So every time that HAPI we do any type of event, we always ask for affiliate marketers. We're like, hey, listen, we will not only will we give you a link, you want us to come on your platform and talk about it, we'll put your link in there. And it's so amazing that it's one of the easiest ways, especially if you just talk to people or if you have social media. Like it is one of the easiest ways. You're just going to do exactly what you're doing now, and you're just going to add in that link. So when you are ready to go with this, they can literally take this video, put their link in it, and send it to all their friends and start making 16%.
Yeah. But I mean, 16% when people bite. That's the thing.
Yeah, when people bite.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if that happens, and with us, it's all transparent. It's no, like with network marketing, it's all, when it comes to, okay, now where's my money? It's always complex. With us, there's no complexity. Yeah. There's a 60-day wait, and then day 61, you get your dough. Simples. It really is.
And that's like that's like everyone else. Like Vimeo, we have a video up on Vimeo. 45 days, you get your little check. That's it. It comes regular. But the other piece, besides the money piece and that being an incentive, the other incentive is that this is good information. It's not like we're selling something that is not going to empower our people. This is. The Black Secret is empowering us.
And the point of what we're doing is we want to get every Black person who goes through the Black Secret on the same page. You see, people from Africa don't look at Black history the way we look at it. Does that make sense? Because we are from the diaspora, so we don't look at it the same way. But they will when you go through the Black Secret. People, African Americans don't look at people from outside the same way. But you will when you do the Black Secret, because I'm aware of the nuances. One of the things about living in London, I'm of Jamaican heritage. We have people from all over the Black world living in London, and I'm shaped by all of those different perspectives. So my tutor, Dr. Femi Biko, was from Nigeria. Not his mentor was Jamaican. So the different perspectives have come together so that everyone is going to be on the same page. Everyone is going to be able to look at the history with the same amount of pride, no matter where you're from.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? It also builds these bridges of us valuing each other and our contribution to our history. This is
just to give you an example. The way that the African Americans and Yusuf Ben Yokin in particular popularized tours to ancient Egypt. We could do the same thing with some of the African countries. Now, once we know what their heritage is, I mean, Nigeria has thousands of years of history, monuments, fine art, manuscripts. But if you don't know, you don't know. I spent time in Kenya exploring the lost cities on the coast. The people in Kenya think those lost cities were built by Arabs, so they're not interested. And why they think they were built by Arabs is because during the colonial period, Europeans put propaganda in the books that said it was built by Arabs. Do you see?
Wow.
So so consequently, they've got heritage that they don't actually know is theirs. And so what you'll find in every single case is there's a reason why something gets in the way. And then you've got religious fundamentalism in some countries, where the fundamentalism means that you can't admire ancient art because to do so is idolatry. And you've got some people who believe that kind of nonsense. So you've got different things that gets in the way, but I believe that our content will clear all of that away.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. And it's so extensive. I saw Lori in the chat saying she's like, it seems very extensive. I was like, it does. So listen, family, you have a few days, but I wouldn't wait, because when they take it off, you guys can't email us and say, wait, what was the discount code? There is no discount code. You have to sign up today to be able to get it at the price that the Black History Man quoted. And so it's super important. There is the website right there in the on the screen. It's the blacksecret.co.uk. Do you have any closing words?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me on here. And the main thing is that what we are doing is we're revolutionizing Black history. We want Black history and African heritage to be something that Black people can universally be proud of. And the way that you build that pride is to show our achievements. And unlike the old scholars that wrote about our achievements, my job is to show you. So the images that you saw in this presentation, those images will be in the classes so people can see them. So you're going to see a heritage of manuscripts, inscriptions, fine art, jewelry, monuments. You're going to see all examples of grandeur and pomp that no one's talking about. And it really is going to change the perspective of how we see each other and the mutual respect that should be there.
Yeah. When you showed the wall, oh my, I was like, I've never heard of this wall. 10,000 miles?
Yeah. Do you guys have the Guinness Book of World Records? Do you guys have that?
I'm sure Google does. I can go online and find it.
It used to be called the Guinness Book of World Records, and it became the Guinness World Records.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in there, and it's in there as the largest construction work in the world built before modern mechanical times.
Yeah, I had to check this out. I put this comment up on the screen because Fela Barcliffe, she's traveled to Kemet with us. She is a fine lady, but she also owns the Little Sun People School in Brooklyn. And she's like, I signed up for this 2 months ago. So see, this is what I'm saying. And she is in a direct line of teaching our little people. Okay. And, and I just, this is what this is about. When we talk about community and, really looking out for each other, we're talking about this right now. Someone is coming to our community. We're not coming. He's part of our community. The Black History Man. I love the Black History Man. That is such a fabulous title. Just by the way, I just wanted to let you know, I like that title. He's part of our community. He has brought to us this, way for us to rise up all collectively, right? Collectively, we can rise up. And we have to, being part of a community is supporting each other in the community. So we have to support. It's very, very super important, guys, that we support the Black History Man. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you could, don't sign off. I'm just going to put you in the back. I'm going to close the show. So just stay for a couple more minutes, okay?
No problem.
All right. Okay, family. Right there, we had the Black History Man, Robin Walker, in the house of HAPI. Yay! And I'm going to keep it up, the blacksecret.co.uk. Please, family, we have got to support this, okay? This is, and it's a nominal amount of money to educate your whole entire family, plus people that and get them on. We need to get on this role of just moving, ascending. This is the age of Aquarius. This informational age. So now, he's not only, and he said it so eloquently. He's like, yes, this is the information, but I am an educator. And yes, he is. If everyone should have at least a couple of the Black History Man's books, right? And so we already know how he lays it down in terms of us getting this information. So just know when we get on there, and I will be signing up as soon as I'm done. This is just really, really exciting. So yes, family, please make sure you support. Also, and we will whenever we do HAPI Talks, when you just go to like the narrative on whatever website, you're able to then see the links and this is and that. So it's going to be on the screen, but also just look at this video and make sure you sign up. Listen, we cannot let down our fellow community members. Okay. All right, family. I believe that is it. It's so nice. Yes. Right there. Black Power. It's so nice to, to just really be able to hang out with you guys in the middle of the day. We're going to have the Black History Man come back. And I think I'm going to get me a t-shirt that says the Black History Man. That's what's up. I love it. Okay, fam. Thank you for this installment of HAPI Talks. And in the words of Professor James Small, peace and blessings.
I don't know what we can talk about in this nation without talking about white superiority, honestly.
Who defines the meaning of God also defines the relationship between economy and God.
African Americans spent $1.3 trillion last year, making us the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. Why have we not turned those riches into wealth to develop our community?